But Zach, I'm gonna send it right back over to you
Okay,
for
cool.
your next set of lists and take it away, man.
Yeah, so 26 to 21, let's do it. At 26, I will mention a guy that you mentioned on your first lap. I'll go with Desmond Ridder of the Falcons coming in at number 26. And here's the thing about Ridder, right? And this might sound crazy, but hear me out. I think Desmond Ridder's path here to becoming the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, it does remind me a little bit of Jalen Hurts' path to becoming the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll explain exactly what I mean, right? Desmond Ridder in college won a ton of games. He rarely lost. He was the quarterback of a Cincinnati Bearcat team, him and Sauce Gardner. That team made history. They became the first ever group of 5 team, the non-Power 5, to make the college football playoff. And Cincinnati, they had an argument to make the playoff the prior year. I'll give you the exact numbers, but Ridder, in his last 2 years of college, he lost like 1 game combined, and it was to Alabama in the college football playoff. So this guy, like Jalen Hurts, won a ton of games in college. But then when he gets drafted, everyone is saying, like, what are the Falcons doing? Taking this kid in the second round? Like, that's a reach. No one believed in him. And I still feel like there aren't a ton of people that believe in him or take this guy seriously. But the Eagles surrounded Jalen Hurts with a ton of really good weapons. We know the deal. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. Now that he has DeAndre Swift, like the Eagles surrounded him with a ton of really good weapons and a really good coach, a really good offensive mind in Shane Steichen. And next thing you know, Jalen Hurts, he's off to the moon, gets his team to a Super Bowl, could have won the MVP last year. I'm not saying Desmond Ridder is going to be that, right? Of course not. But I do think his journey here, with the weapons he has around him, a really good offensive mind in Arthur Smith calling the plays, a great running back in Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I see a scenario where Desmond Ridder and this Falcons offense is better than we expected, and this guy is a winner. I think there's a reason why the Falcons are so keen and why they believe in him. Like, believe me, I was on the bandwagon. The Falcons have to trade for Lamar Jackson and become one of the top dogs in the NFC. But they didn't. And Arthur Smith has to be under some pressure. Like, this is his 3rd year. He missed the playoffs in his first 2, even though I think you could make the argument for the talent the Atlanta Falcons have had the last 2 seasons. The fact that Arthur Smith was able to win 7 games in each of those seasons, that they overachieved, in my opinion. The Falcons had no business winning a combined 14 games in each of the last 2 years, but they did it. So I think Ridder in his 2nd year, I think he takes a little bit of a step forward. Hopefully Kyle Pitts can stay healthy. I like the weapons around him. I'll have Desmond Ridder at number 26. Now, at number 25, I will admit, part of the reason why I have this guy so low is because we don't even know how many games he's going to play for the season. We even discussed this a little bit prior to the list. Like, we were discussing, like, should we even rank this guy or not? Like, who even knows? But I'm going to have Kyler Murray of the Cardinals at number 25 just because, A, again, I'm not really sure how many games he's going to play. And B, like, I'm pretty confident that he is not going to be a Cardinal after this season. And if he misses the entire year, which after a torn ACL, you never know, like, he might not even take another snap with the Arizona Cardinals ever again. It's wild. Even for someone like me, who over the course of the last few years, when we've been doing this list, I've never been the biggest Kyler guy. I would never expect the downfall to be this bad. But I remember saying on this show after that embarrassing joke of a playoff loss to the Rams that I'm out on this guy and the Cardinals will never win anything with him. And here we are. Now, I do feel bad. I do think hopefully he'll be able to come back from that torn ACL, get healthy, and maybe he'll be able to change up his act. But I still cannot believe the Cardinals made this guy a top 5 highly paid quarterback in the league. But then in the contract, they were like, oh, you better stop playing video games. You better study the offense for at least 2 hours a day. Like, bro, like, I still can't believe they even had to do that. If you're a star quarterback making that much money, that should be a given. Like, you should know, okay, this is exactly what I have to do. I think the Cardinals could be, I think they will be probably the worst team in the NFL this year. Hiring Jonathan Gannon, still don't really understand that hire, especially after what he did in their own building in that Super Bowl. I have a tough time seeing the Kyler Murray era working out in Arizona. And if he does play this year, I don't think it will lead to much. I'll have him as my number 25 quarterback on my list. At number 24, I'll go with the guy you mentioned, even though you didn't technically put him on your list. I will go with Mac Jones of the Patriots at number 24. And for me, I just think when Mac Jones is your quarterback, just your ceiling is automatically capped. I have a tough time believing no matter what talent you put around Mac Jones, that you're going to be able to win a Super Bowl. And I do understand the argument that a big reason why he took such a big step down last year was because of Matt Patricia. He was not a real offensive coordinator. And I do think Bill O'Brien is a significant upgrade over Patricia. But at the end of the day, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's an upgrade, but he's your number one wide receiver. I think that's an issue. I just think when you have Mac Jones as your quarterback, you could win with him a little bit, but you have to give him elite talent. And clearly the Patriots don't have that right now. Maybe this will change if they sign DeAndre Hopkins, but Hopkins visited them, what is it, like a week ago now, and he still hasn't signed, which is a little bit of a bizarre sign when a lot of the signs were pointing to Nuke signing with New England. So I'll have Mac Jones at number 24. I think he's going to have a much better season than last year. But, man, last year was so ugly, I had to move him down. I mean, Bill Belichick benched him, like, for Bailey Zappi. We have to remember that. Like, we know Bill Belichick has no problem doing whatever it takes, whatever he thinks is best for the team to win. But, man, I don't think anyone was expecting Mac Jones to be benched. And if the Patriots want to win anything seriously anytime soon, they might have to go for a little bit of a bigger high-ceiling guy. Oh, wait a minute. How about this? I forgot to mention. Did you see Craig Carton dropping the nugget on Fox this past week that the Patriots wanted to trade for Aaron Rodgers, but he had no interest in playing for Bill Belichick? If I was the Patriots, that would have been the exact same move I would have made. You had to upgrade that ceiling at quarterback. Rodgers didn't want any interest in Bill Belichick and playing in New England, though. So I'll have Mac Jones coming in at number 24. At number 23, I'll have the last and final rookie of the group to make my list. I'll have Bryce Young at number 23. And it's always really hard to rank the rookie quarterbacks and their ceiling and what they're going to be. And the thing that makes Bryce Young so difficult for me is the long-term potential we don't know about, because one hit at his size could ruin everything. And that's why I have Bryce Young at number 23, because I actually think the Carolina Panthers, and I know this is like the third year in a row I've been on this bandwagon, but I'm confident. Like, I think it's going to happen this year. I think the Panthers are going to be better than people expect. I really like the hire of Frank Reich, and I do think Bryce Young is ready right away, definitely more than CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, especially, to come into the NFL right away and have success. Now, we know the injuries long-term, anything could happen. But I do think as a rookie, Bryce Young is good enough to make this Carolina team much better. And I know they lost DJ Moore, right? I know they don't have Christian McCaffrey, but they did make some low-key, under-the-radar moves throughout the offseason that I really liked. Bringing in Adam Thielen. That's a quality pro receiver right there. They also drafted a kid, Jonathan Mingo, out of Ole Miss. I'm a big fan of him late in the first round. Miles Sanders as a running back. I think that's a solid move. He's going to be out to prove some people wrong after his comments with the Eagles after the offseason. They also brought in Hayden Hurst. Like, I think Bryce Young, my real test and question of if you're an elite quarterback or if you can be one is, like, can you make talent around you better? We know Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and Peyton Manning, some of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, that was their specialty. They were able to take guys like, Julian Edelman and, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Mecole Hardman, like all these guys, and turn not so great receivers into really good ones. And I think we're going to see that with Bryce Young in Carolina this year. I will have him at number 23. I know that might be a little bit higher than others, but I will have Bryce at number 23. And then at number 22 and 21, I'll have two guys that I'll kind of place into a similar category. I'll have Jimmy Garoppolo coming in at number 22. I'm a big Jimmy G fan. I think you could win games with him as your starting quarterback if you put him in just a favorable position. The issue is I don't think the Raiders and this team is it. I know him and Josh McDaniels worked together in New England in the past, and they had a relationship, and Josh McDaniels couldn't get rid of Derek Carr quick enough to move on from Jimmy G. But this offensive line can't block. More importantly, Josh McDaniels cannot win football games as a head coach. I don't know if Jimmy G could stay healthy. I'm pretty down on the Raiders right now. Even though I'm a big Jimmy G fan and appreciate everything he did in San Francisco, I don't necessarily see it working out with the Raiders this year. I'll have Jimmy G at number 22. And at number 21, you might be surprised. This might be a little bit low compared to where you have him. But I'm going to go with the guy that Jimmy G replaced in Vegas. I'm going to go with Derek Carr at number 21. And I think people are falling for the Saints hype again. I understand that they upgraded at quarterback with Derek Carr. But, man, Derek Carr, and I like Derek Carr. I think he was a really good Raider. But at the end of the day, the Raiders did not win anything with him. And besides that one really good year he had in 2016 where he got hurt when he was about to win the MVP, I just haven't necessarily seen him as an elite quarterback to give you that ceiling. I'm not a Dennis Allen guy as a head coach, and I understand how badly things went last year, but I think that's a sign. I mean, here's another thing, and I'll end on this. Like, did we ever figure out what happened with Derek Carr to end last season. He just left the team after he got benched. Like, I still really want to know if Josh McDaniels just sent him home, which I don't think Josh McDaniels would have. Like, I know he's Josh McDaniels, but Derek Carr, after everything he did for the franchise, I don't think he's a guy that you bench and just send home. So I think Derek Carr might have just left on his own. You bench me after everything I did for this franchise, I'm out of here. I don't necessarily see it working out with Derek Carr in New Orleans this year. I'll have him at number 21. So to recap, I'll have Desmond Ridder at number 26, Kyler Murray at number 25, Mac Jones at number 24, Bryce Young at number 23, Jimmy G, Garoppolo coming in at 22, and Derek Carr at 21. Will, I'll pass the mic back over to you. You're muted, my guy.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. I would have been talking and been coming through. Now, I don't really have a response to your list because we have a lot of the same guys, but I'm going to go ahead with number 26 for me, and I'm going to go with Mac Jones, as I alluded to before on my last, list. I think for me, the sophomore year was nothing more than career sabotage by Bill Belichick. I mean, you don't get a guy, an offensive coordinator. And Zach, I'll give you your credit because you was more vocal about that heading into the year. I was like, hey, Mac Jones got talent, man. He'll be fine. You was like, nah, Lil, nah, that matters. And clearly it did. And having Matt Patricia with no offensive experience calling plays, that's like taking a daggone rapper and asking him to perform heart surgery.
I like to say this. The moment I realized Patricia was not it is when he would be walking around with the pencil in his ear with the laminated play sheet. Like, a pencil cannot write on that. Like, what are you doing?
It's crazy. And on top of that, to make matters worse, the weapons are old and outdated. GM Bill Belichick is horrible. And there's a reason why Tom Brady jetted in free agency when he had the chance. You think Tom Brady didn't want to end his career as a New England Patriot? But he left because Bill Belichick ran him out of there with his poor drafting, with how he just doesn't have it as a GM. Coach, oh yeah, he's still amongst the best in the NFL. Best believe it. But a lot of that same issues that plagued Tom Brady in his last year in New England is impacting Mac Jones early in his career. And I saw the promises in his rookie year, right? Listen, I saw that Buffalo Bills game, and I understand they got ran out the field, but there was one throw in particular that he made or didn't make, but the trajectory was he was going to make it. It was a deep throw, and I believe it was Pryor came from one side from the field to the other side to make a great interception. It wasn't even a terrible pass. It was about to land. I forgot who he threw it to, but it was going to land right in the breadbasket. It was just a great interception, and that game got away because of that interception. So it's hard for me to use his sophomore year as an assessment when ranking him on this list. Now, the reason why he's at 26 and not higher is because this is a make or break year for Mac Jones, and we should know that. Okay, I do think that the Patriots weapons needs to get better in order for me to really feel that we can get any upside from this guy. I like his arm, I like his accuracy, but he doesn't bring you that mobile, ceiling. Me personally, I like explosiveness. That's a must on my list. And, I don't think he has that, but I still like him. I think he's a good quarterback, and they need to get him D-Hop. Okay, there's no reason why D-Hop should have left New England without a contract. Okay, now I understand from D-Hop's perspective, maybe that was smart by him to see if you get any bidders in between that time, right in between the time of now and training camp. But D-Hop has to go to New England. Juju is not going to make it doo-doo. Okay, it's not going to happen. I understand Juju, he won a Super Bowl. Yeah, he played on a great-ass team. Okay, this is not a great-ass team. So they need D-Hop. And that's why Mac Jones, for me right now, is at 26. At number 25, I'm going to go with Bryce Young at number 25. Let's be clear. Let's make sure we are very clear. He is the week one starter. You do not draft a quarterback number one overall to have him on the bench behind Andy Dalton. All right. The signing of Andy Dalton was basically quarterback insurance. As you all saw with the 49ers, who traded up to draft Trey Lance. They kept Jimmy G, and it ended up being a good thing because Trey Lance got hurt. Jimmy G was able to, go in, and what happened to him happened to him. And then, it still was a good decision to keep Jimmy G because they needed Jimmy G to replace Lance, even though Purdy replaced Jimmy G. Bottom line, they ran out of quarterbacks. You don't want a situation on the Panthers where you're running out of quarterbacks. Bryce Young, he has the talent, but he's one hit away from you needing a emergency quarterback. And that's what that move was about. Now, as far as Bryce Young, the skill set, I really like this guy. I think the Panthers will contend for a division crown this year. I really do. If you had to ask me today, I would probably go that route because I believe in this guy. I believe he has the physical traits of a Kyler Murray, but he has the IQ of a Drew Brees, right? A guy that can be short, but still throw with a lot of anticipation. Generally, when you watch his film, he has no issues throwing across the middle of the field. Most short quarterbacks have a horrible time seeing over the defenders to throw in the middle of the field. When you think about Kyler Murray, he's more stick and move, move out of the pocket to throw the ball, to see the field. He doesn't really sit in the pocket like that. And when he does, it's very rare. Bryce Young can sit in the pocket and throw with anticipation and accuracy. And he's going to be a good guy. He's going to be a star in this league. I like him a lot. And that's why, he's here. And he offers you that scramble ability as well of a Kyler Murray, a better passer, you can argue, and a smarter quarterback, you can argue. It's like taking Drew Brees and what he does well in his strengths, and he's a Hall of Famer, and taking Kyler Murray's running ability and adding it together to package a quarterback. That's a pretty good quarterback. 25 is Bryce Young. At number 24, I'm going to go with another rookie here, and I'm going to go with AR-15. Now, a lot of people must be thinking, hey, he might not even start. It might be Minshew Mania. Listen, if AR-15 is able to beat out Minshew Mania, who is not a terrible quarterback by any means, he's a solid quarterback. You can win games with Minshew. If he's able to beat that guy and I have him rank on my list, I got to go all out. I just have to and put him 24 because there's no way he should be starting week 1. It should be Minshew, but I don't even know if it's going to be Minshew. And that speaks to a testament about his talent. A lot of people say he's not ready for the NFL just yet, but I will flip that. I don't think the NFL is ready for this guy. I don't. I think he's going to come in and there's going to be some lows and some highs, but when we get to that ultimate high, even Wiz Khalifa can't get that high. He's going to win an MVP. It might not be this year. I'm not saying he's going to win an MVP in this rookie year.
We're saying he's winning MVP. I like
it. No, I smell it, man. He's going to win an MVP. He's a future MVP of the league. Anthony Richardson. I am that high on this guy. He can make all the throws. He has the arm strength, his elusiveness, and what he can do as a dual threat quarterback. Now, let's say hypothetically, he doesn't start week 1. He will play until he starts. He will play. Okay, he will be in packages until he starts this year. I think when you look at the owner, I forgot this guy's name. Jim Irsay, right? I keep getting him and Ballard mixed up. I don't know why. But Jim Irsay, right? He wants AR-15 to start. Like, he literally said it. Like, yo, if he can go, let him go. And I think it's always hard for them veteran quarterbacks, as we saw with Mitch Trubisky, to keen in when the fans are screaming for that rookie quarterback. Right? It's so hard. Like, it's going to be a hard job for Minshew Mania to keep if he does indeed start week 1. It's going to be hard because the fans are going to call for this guy as soon as he throw an interception. We want AR-15. And then I can see 2 scenarios happening. I can see 3, actually. I can see AR-15 starting week 1. I can see Minshew starting week 1 and AR-15 comes in middle of the season. Or option 3, where we have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tua Tagovailoa situation, where Ryan Fitzpatrick is actually winning games and Minshew is winning games, but the owner busts down and say, no. Throw that rookie in there. We got to see what he's about. And I can see that happening. So I'm going to go with AR-15 at number 24. At number 23, I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill at number 23. The Titans operation is very puzzling because you don't know if they're trying to rebuild, if they're trying to retool. I don't know what they're trying to do. I thought they were trying to rebuild, but then they bought in D-Hop. Now I'm thinking they're trying to retool. I don't know. I may be a fool. I just don't know. But when you look at Ryan Tannehill, you know, he is what he is. And I always appreciated his toughness as a quarterback to sit in the pocket, make the throw, and take a hit. There's not a lot of tough quarterbacks out there in a tough sport, in a grown man's league. And Ryan Tannehill can play in a grown man's league. Now, he is at times very turnover friendly at times, right? Listen, I'm still having that PTSD when you talk about that playoff game when he threw 3 interceptions, flat out lost the Titans that game against the Bengals in the wild card. But he's a winnable quarterback. Like, he has improved, and you have to respect that. He can win a playoff game. You have to respect that. He can win a division. You have to respect that. Now, I do think it's going to be his last year. I think he will play out the full year because, I don't know if they're ready for Will Levis right now. I don't think Will Levis is ready at all. I don't think Malik Willis is ready at all. They don't believe in Malik Willis, right? That's why they, went after 2 quarterbacks in back-to-back years. I don't know if they believe in any of those guys right now. I think Will Levis is a project more so than a starter today. So I think Ryan Tannehill is going to play, get his trade value up. He's going to play majority of the year. If we do see a substitution, it's going to be really, really late. And I think he's going to play a lot more games to be ranked on this list. And I don't even think he's going to look bad to even get benched. It will probably just have to be, all right, man, I'm just trying to see what Will Levis has right now. So you got to go. So I think it's going to be 1 year. He signed for 1 more year, and he's going to be out after this year. And I think because he's trying to save his NFL career, we may get the best Tannehill, right? It may not lead into anything successful. I think the Titans' best shot of winning anything was that year when they had home court, the number 1 seed throughout the playoffs. But I think we may get the better Ryan Tannehill, knowing that it's really ride or die right now. So I'm going with him at number 23. At number 22, I got 2 more. Okay. At number 22, I'm going to go with Jimmy G. He's been in great ecosystems in the past, right? You can't fake the funk. You can't. But he's been in good situations. The New England situation at that time, the Kyle Shanahan situation was obviously the best situation that you can go. He's very precise on those short to intermediate throws, right? He doesn't offer a lot of outside the hashes throws. He's not a guy that's going to open up your offense. Your offense will be capped to some capacity because he can't push the ball deep, but he has a lot of knowledge of McDaniel's system. So him going back to the Raiders or him going back to McDaniel's on the Raiders should bring a level of familiarity to the team. I don't think by any means he's an upgrade over Derek Carr, but I do think he can run the offense better than Derek Carr because he has grasp of the offense more so than Derek Carr. So he's going to be that point guard. Just get the ball out to Devontae Adams and all those guys, and they're going to, put up numbers. Devontae Adams is still going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. It'd be interesting to see if that changes, with Jimmy G based on him not taking those shots. So a lot of those yardage is going to have to come from the yak. So we're going to find out really a lot more about Devontae Adams and if he's really that yak guy. We know he's that playmaker guy. We know he's that intermediate guy, but could he be that Tyreek Hill type of yak guy? We have to see because he's going to have to in order to sustain 1,000 yards this year. But Jimmy G, he's a winner. He brings you a winner's resume. You have to like it, but we all know he caps your ceiling. So that's why he's 22. You cannot fool me with your resume, bro. Okay, you can't say you went to Harvard and Yale. Okay, if you didn't go there, I know where you went. So I'm going to go with him at number 22. At number 21, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray at number 21. And for the same reason, Zach, that you brought up, we don't know how much of Kyler Murray we're going to get, if we're going to get anything in 2023. Now, there's a couple scenarios that I think will happen, and I'm going to read you those scenarios right now. Number 1, maybe Murray surprises everyone and returns week 1. Number 2, Murray returns just after a few weeks in the regular season. Number 3, Murray misses at least half of the season and plays in 8 or fewer games. Number 4, Murray misses the entire 2023 season. So I think those 4 scenarios could happen. Now, my prediction is that we're going to get scenario 2, where he returns after a few weeks in the regular season. If you're going to trade this guy, you have to show the league his value, and that is still there because we know what happened. He tore his ACL. So there's going to be a lot more questions along with the questions that we have. Is this guy a winner or not? So you're going to have to throw him out there to get some trade value back, So, I think we'll see Kyler Murray. Now, I always like Kyler Murray's explosiveness. I don't think he's overrated, but I don't think he's great. I think he's in the middle of that tier. A healthy Kyler Murray, I would probably rank him a little bit higher than where I have him right now. You're probably looking at in the 15 to 14 range, maybe somewhere where Dak Prescott is. I'm not going to give away where I got Dak Prescott, but he's going to be around Dak Prescott because I believe both of those quarterbacks, you don't know if you're going to get a great quarterback one week or a bad quarterback the other week. So I think you can make the same legitimate case for both of those guys. But I think Kyler Murray do have some of the skills to survive in this league. We just don't know if we're going to get that great Kyler Murray on a week-to-week basis. I'll give you one example in particular. A couple years ago, I believe it was 2 years ago, they beat the Rams in the regular season, right? And that was one of the best games I saw from Kyler Murray, where he literally was like Steph Curry in the NFL. Like his ability to get out of the pocket, create outside of the pocket, make explosive plays on the field. And they won that game. They blew out the Rams, who many people predicted to win that game on the road. Then they played the same Rams team another time. I'm not going to talk about that time, but in the playoffs. And that was the worst game I've seen from Kyler Murray. So, like I said, that's the Kyler Murray experience that you don't know what you're going to get from a week-to-week basis. And that's why he's number 21. So to recap my list, number 26 is Mac Jones. Number 25 is Bryce Young. Number 24 is AR-15. Number 23 is Ryan Tannehill. Number 22 is Jimmy G. And number 21 is Kyler Murray. That's my list.
Yeah, just a quick thought on Kyler and a few others. So I don't know if you feel and think the same way as I do, but in my opinion, when you're paying a quarterback to be an elite quarterback and you get the Kyler Murray experience, like, oh, one game he looks great, the next game he looks awful. Like, in my opinion, that's worth downgrading you, because if you're being paid to be an elite quarterback and you're not, like, that's something that directly affects the team losing because you can't build as many good pieces around him. So, yeah, I had him at 25. Has some similar thoughts there. I don't necessarily know what his future holds in Arizona, but especially like in Arizona, especially, but really for the rest of the NFL. Like, I know Kyler made a lot of money, so he's not going to regret it. But like, man, this guy, I think we forget sometimes just how close he was to becoming a Major League Baseball player. Going into that last season at Oklahoma when he won the Heisman, I don't think there was any scenario on the table if you were to ask him that would have made you say, oh, you're going to be going to the NFL instead of being going to the MLB, because he was drafted in the top 10 by the Oakland A's. Now, with everything that's gone on with the Oakland A's since then, maybe he did make the right decision. But, man, I think we forget just how close he was to becoming a baseball player. And when you're trying to be a franchise quarterback, like, you have to be all in, you have to be invested all the time. One other thought on Anthony Richardson, though. So
before you get there, Zach, I do want to add to that Kyler Murray talk, because in some ways, and I brought this up to you plenty of times, he reminds me of Trae Young in the NBA, where you have guys that are talented to some capacity. They are talented. You run your offense through these guys, but we all know that they can either be stat padders in some, retrospects, and they're not great winners. They pat stat in a way. And I think their situations are so similar, not only because they went to the same college, not only because they was on campus around the same time, and, they were great players in college, and they had everything they wanted in college, and the way how their offense ran in college is no different than the professional leagues. Their offense went through them. In some ways, there is a comparison of Kyler Murray and Trae Young. But I do think that new offense that is coming, and let's see if Kyler Murray is going to play at all, they're going to move away from this air raid offense that they ran, or the principles of air raid that they ran with Cliff, and they're going to run this version of the West Coast offense. So we're going to see a lot of Kyler Murray, dishing it off to the running backs. And let's see if that change of style could help a guy like Kyler Murray, who you have the ball in his hands, and he's either going to make a play, or he's going to get sacked, or he's going to get ragdolled. Like, I would want to see Murray in the pocket a little bit more, handing off the ball. So we'll see if that helps his development, if at all.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about Trae Young, and I'm not even his biggest fan, but like, he did get the Hawks to a conference final. He won a Game 7 in Philadelphia. I want to see Kyler do that in the playoffs before elevating him. One thought on AR-15, though. The last time we saw this dude on the football field, right? It was November 25th at Florida State. And Florida State was a really good team. Like, they were ranked in the top 20. They're going to be a really good team entering next season. Anthony Richardson in that game went 9 of 27 for 198 yards. That's a 33% completion percentage. If the Colts actually get this guy on the field early in the season, let alone week 1, that's a massive mistake. He will be, I think, the worst quarterback in the NFL to start. And I understand. You make a good point. Like, theoretically, if he beats out Minshew, like, he should be pretty good because Minshew, he's proven, like, he's won plenty of games in the NFL. But I do worry that Irsay effect that you also mentioned, like, and the fans, like, everyone's going to want him on the field as soon as possible. I think Shane Steichen really has to take a step back and see what happened with Jalen Hurts. Like, Hurts didn't play most of his first season. He got on the field a little bit at the end of his rookie year, showed some flashes. And then his second year, he wasn't even great, but he was good enough to get the Eagles to the playoffs. And we saw the explosion in year 3. Usually I'm on the side of sit your quarterbacks if he's not ready, or get your quarterbacks out there right away when you draft him that high. I think AR is an outlier, though. I really hope the Colts don't ruin anything and just send him out too early and ruin his confidence before he's ready. I mean, I'll say it again. 9 of 27. That's a 33% completion percentage the last time we saw him on the field. I don't think this guy's anything close to ready, but we do know just how high the ceiling could be.
Yeah, I think for me, if I had to draw a comparison to a guy in the league that won an MVP that didn't have a great completion percentage in college, was Lamar Jackson. And we saw when Lamar Jackson got his opportunity, I know he sat for most of the season, his rookie year, before he was able to get playing time. But, with guys like that, that their skill set will translate regardless of starting week 1.
Lamar Jackson won a Heisman in college. Like, I think the comp
yeah, he did.
would be like Josh Allen. Like, I know that's the guy everyone compares, but like the fact that, like, I think that's like from a physical attribute perspective, like, okay, you see both of them have rocket arms, but like, I don't know. I think Josh Allen is the ultimate outlier. Like, I don't know if you could draft prospects with similar traits thinking or envisioning that he's going to turn into anything close to that. And he might, like, who knows? But
I think for me, like, the comparison is like, the completion percentage. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that didn't complete a lot in college, but they started, and they went off. And I think Lamar Jackson is one of those guys, not from a physical attribute perspective, am I drawing the comparison, but more so that he missed a lot of throws in college, but his running ability was why he won the Heisman. He didn't win the Heisman because he was a great passer. He won the Heisman because he was a great electrifying runner, and that's why he won the Heisman, and that's why he won an MVP. He's still growing as a passer. Like, it's not like Lamar Jackson, you fear him as a passer. I understand he's not going to win the ball a lot more this year, according to him. He's going to pass the ball more. But even us is having questions like, really, is that sustainable? So he still haven't really developed yet. And that's my thing. When you have those guys with physical attributes like AR-15 and Lamar and Cam never developed as a passer. Like, yes, he could throw the ball deep. He's accurate on the deep ball, whatever, and he could throw a nice ball, but he never was a guy that you trust him throwing the ball, but he got to a Super Bowl and he won an MVP. So because you have those physical traits where the NFL is moving, you can play week 1. You just have to develop those other things over time. And I think experience will help you do that.
Mm-hmm. One last thought. I think we're going to see Levis on the field sooner than you think, just because I'm just not a Tannehill guy. I think his time in Tennessee has come to an end. I think that sooner the Titans realize, like, okay, we need to see as much as Levis as we possibly could to get a real answer, because they didn't even spend a first-round pick on him. Like, they're not totally committed. Like, they're not paying him a ton of money. If I was that team, I would want to see him on the field probably by around week 9, week 10 at the latest.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.